Welcome to NewsBeacon, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Sometimes it only takes a single word to change the course of history. But this word, uttered in a moment, landed with the force of a diplomatic bombshell, sending shockwaves through both countries and beyond. In the summer of 2025, President Donald Trump's ambassador, speaking at a high-profile economic summit, described Canadians as nasty to deal with. The remark instantly made global headlines, especially jarring for a nation celebrated for its politeness and famously close ties to the United States. The term nasty was directed at Canadian citizens and provincial governments who, in response to new U.S. tariffs, were boycotting American goods and choosing to vacation at home instead of across the border. Across Canada, social media campaigns and grassroots movements encouraged people to support local businesses and stand together in the face of what many saw as unfair treatment. From Washington's perspective, these actions weren't just economic pushback. They were interpreted as outright hostility, a challenge to American authority and influence. The ambassador's comment transformed what had been a heated trade dispute into a personal insult, escalating tensions and making compromise even more difficult. For generations, the US and Canada had been more than allies. They were friends, neighbors, and partners, sharing the world's longest undefended border and a deep sense of mutual respect. But Trump's remarks suggested that this special relationship was fracturing under his America First agenda, raising questions about the future of North American unity. Nasty isn't a word you hear in international diplomacy. It's loaded with personal contempt and rarely, if ever, used by world leaders to describe an entire nation. By using it, the administration shifted the focus from policy and trade disagreements to the very character and dignity of the Canadian people. Instead of intimidating Canadians, the comment had the opposite effect. It sparked a wave of solidarity and national pride across the country. Canadians from coast to coast rallied together, refusing to be shamed or bullied by their powerful southern neighbor. Public figures, from artists to athletes, joined the chorus, calling for unity and resilience in the face of adversity. The trade dispute had become something much bigger, a matter of national pride and identity. The stage was set for a dramatic showdown between two of the world's closest partners, with the world watching to see what would happen next. Canadians didn't shrink from the nasty label. They embraced it, wearing it almost as a badge of honor. What was meant as an insult quickly became a rallying point, sparking a wave of unity and determination across the country. The boycott of American products exploded into a nationwide movement, with hashtags like #BuyCanadian and #NastyCanuck trending everywhere. Social media was flooded with stories of Canadians making conscious choices, and the digital landscape became a battleground for national pride. Everyday choices, ketchup, coffee, wine, became acts of patriotism as Canadians kept their dollars at home. Even small purchases felt significant as people swapped out familiar American brands for homegrown alternatives, supporting local farmers, artisans, and businesses. Political leaders, especially BC Premier David Eby, encouraged this surge of national pride, framing the boycotts as a defense of Canadian interests. Across the political spectrum, leaders called for unity and resilience, urging citizens to stand together. The movement was a quiet rebellion, fought in grocery aisles and travel agencies. It was a grassroots effort, with ordinary Canadians making everyday decisions that, together, sent a powerful message. Canadians canceled trips to the US, choosing instead to explore their own country, boosting local economies and sending a clear message to Washington. Families discovered new destinations at home, and travel within Canada surged. National parks and resort towns saw record numbers, while US tourism suffered. The shift was visible. Canadian hotspots thrived, while American border towns felt the absence of their northern neighbors. The boycotts were more than economic. They were a statement of identity and unity. Canadians from all walks of life came together, finding common ground in their shared values and sense of purpose. Canadians showed they wouldn't be bullied, standing firm for their values and sovereignty. The message was clear. Respect and fairness mattered more than convenience or habit. The nasty comment didn't break their spirit, it strengthened it. Communities grew closer, and a new sense of resilience took root, echoing through towns and cities. Solidarity swept across political and regional divides. Differences were set aside as Canadians focused on what united them, not what set them apart. The movement proved Canadians could be polite and resolute, especially when pushed. Their protests were peaceful, but their determination was unmistakable. The world watched as Canada turned an insult into a rallying cry. International headlines praised the country's dignity and resolve, and the story inspired others facing similar challenges. The message was clear: dignity and principle would not be sacrificed for political pressure. In the face of adversity, Canadians stood tall, united by pride and purpose. Premier David Eby became the face of Canadian defiance, stepping into the spotlight at a critical moment for the nation. His words and actions resonated far beyond British Columbia, capturing the attention of Canadians from coast to coast. He called out the U.S. administration's ignorance of Canadian sentiment, framing the boycotts as a principled stand for jobs and sovereignty. Eby's bold rhetoric challenged the status quo, making it clear that Canada would not be pushed around on the world stage. Eby urged Canadians to double down, buy local, vacation local, and show Washington the power of collective action. He encouraged families to support their neighbors and communities, emphasizing that every purchase could make a difference. His government took bold steps, like pulling U.S. wines from BC liquor stores, directly targeting American industries. This move sent a strong message that economic leverage could be used as a tool for national interest. Eby's message was clear: Canadians could fight back with their wallets and their unity. He called for solidarity, reminding citizens that their everyday choices could shape the country's future. He drew a line between criticizing U.S. policies and maintaining friendship with the American people. Eby stressed that the dispute was with policy, not with individuals, and that respect between neighbors must endure. This nuanced approach kept the door open for future reconciliation, ensuring that dialogue and cooperation could continue despite the tensions. Eby's leadership blended strength and diplomacy, inspiring Canadians to stand tall. His passionate addresses rallied supporters and reminded the nation of its shared values and resilience. His actions showed that Canadian governments were willing to back words with real measures, proving that leadership means taking decisive steps when the country's interests are at stake. The Premier's defiance became a symbol of national resolve, uniting Canadians in a moment of challenge and demonstrating the power of principled leadership. U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra found himself in the hot seat. At the summit, he relayed the White House's view Canadian boycotts were nasty and damaging. He warned that ongoing animosity could threaten future cooperation, including the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Hoekstra tried to balance stern warnings with hopeful talk of future partnership, a classic diplomatic tightrope. His job was to deliver tough messages without burning bridges. The ambassador's words became the official U.S. position, sparking public debate and backlash. Hoekstra's role highlighted the challenge of representing an unpredictable administration abroad. He became the face of American discontent, navigating a storm of Canadian outrage. The backlash caught Washington off guard. The U.S. Embassy in Ottawa scrambled to clarify the nasty label was aimed at government policies, not the Canadian people. This was classic damage control, trying to shift focus from personal insult to trade disagreements. The embassy's statement aimed to de-escalate, but the word nasty had already stuck. The incident showed how quickly public opinion can ignite and how hard it is to walk back a diplomatic misstep. The embassy's move was necessary, but the damage was done. Words, once spoken, can't be unspoken in international relations. The fallout wasn't just political. It hit wallets on both sides of the border. Canadian tourism to the U.S. plummeted, with cross-border trips dropping by double digits. American hotels, restaurants, and attractions lost millions as Canadians stayed home. Provincial governments, like BC, targeted U.S. products, amplifying the economic pain. The buy local movement rippled across Canada, impacting a wide range of American exports. The dispute became a tit-for-tat economic conflict, with real losses for businesses. The once seamless flow of goods and people was disrupted, highlighting the fragility of the relationship. The nasty comment had a price, and both countries paid it. The nasty comment united Canadians like few things could. Instead of feeling insulted, many wore the label with pride, turning boycotts and staycations into acts of patriotism. Everyday choices became political statements, asserting Canada's independence. The episode revealed a quiet but fierce determination in the Canadian character. Public anger was aimed at U.S. policies, not the American people, preserving cross-border friendships. The controversy strengthened Canada's sense of self and unity. Canadians found common cause, transcending political divisions. An intended insult became a source of national strength. The nasty comment was just one flashpoint in a larger US-Canada rift. The Trump administration's tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, justified on national security grounds, deeply offended Canadians. Canada retaliated with tariffs of its own, targeting key U.S. products. The tit-for-tat trade war shattered decades of quiet cooperation. Diplomatic rhetoric grew sharper, eroding goodwill and trust. The comment symbolized a relationship under severe strain, fueled by populist nationalism and aggressive trade tactics. For many, it was the culmination of a series of slights and dismissals. The alliance's future suddenly seemed uncertain. Despite the turmoil, both sides knew the US-Canada relationship was too important to break. Leaders like Premier Eby and Ambassador Hoekstra spoke of moving past conflict and rebuilding trust. References to future joint projects, like the 2026 World Cup, signaled hope for renewed cooperation. The episode tested the alliance's resilience, revealing both its fragility and its strength. The path forward would require careful diplomacy and a willingness to compromise. For Canada, it was a lesson in unity. For the US, a reminder not to take allies for granted. The hope that shared history and values would ultimately prevail, ensuring the partnership endures.